Oh, it's like being peed on.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
This episode of SinCast is brought to you by Mubi, a curated online cinema streaming exceptional films from around the globe. Each day, Mubi introduces a new gem and you have 1 month to watch it. From cult classics to acclaimed masterpieces, every film is hand-selected by experts. Try Mubi free for 30 days at mubi.com/cinemasins. That's mubi.com/cinemasins for your extended free trial. All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Hello.
Yeah, we're doing a real creepy episode today.
Today I am sinister.
We are that man in the subway platform who asks you if you have any spare gum.
Oh, man.
For music video sends Barrett Share.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
One of these days, we're going to have like a whole episode full of us just doing different hellos, different intros.
Today we're doing last and least. No, I'm just kidding. Last state of the road trip.
Oh, shotgun.
On the road again. The most time-honored tradition of all, the road trip. Oh, the places you'll go.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
It will be Wyoming, which surprisingly has more than Wisconsin did.
Yeah. What a wild thing this has been. Like, this was, I believe, like an idea that one of the listeners gave us, or a question.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, why don't we just kind of mosey through that? That was like, I think maybe 8 months ago or something like that.
Time ago.
Yeah, it's been a very, very long time.
But yeah, this has been really fun, though.
Mm-hmm.
It has.
Like,
and it's allowed us to talk about movies I don't think we would ever have talked
I don't
about.
think ever, yeah. But like going through literally this list every time to say like, oh, and there's been several times where like, whoa, I didn't realize that was set in Delaware.
Yeah.
Something like that, you know? Yeah, this has been cool. And I like the Wyoming stuff that we're about to talk about.
Yeah. The first one is a movie I have not seen, Any Which Way You Can, sequel to Every Which Way But Loose.
I do not like the Wyoming movies.
Yeah. What can you tell us about Any Which Way You Can?
God damn, this is stupid. I think, okay, so Every Which Way But Loose was Clint Eastwood and the Chimp, right? And did you see that one?
No.
It's charming.
Okay.
It's Clint Eastwood. I don't think he had done comedy up until then. That was in the 70s. And, it showed a different side to him.
Isn't this sort of like Eastwood's answer to Burt Reynolds movies, sort of, almost, maybe?
Maybe like a Smokey and the Bandit
Smokey
type
and the
of
Bandit,
thing.
Cannonball Run, all these,
Yeah.
especially Smokey and the Bandit, but it seems to have that kind of like Southern 70s comedy flavor to it.
Yeah, this one he's getting into fight clubs and stuff like that, and he's bare knuckle brawling, shit like that. It's so stupid. It's got Sandra Locke in it again, or Sandra Locke, I guess, who was in the first movie. By the way, I heard after he and Sandra Locke broke up, he like blackballed her whole career.
Really?
Yeah. And that's why you didn't see her anything after all these like team ups that she did with him.
I get the sense that when Eastwood is long gone, we're going to unearth all the horrible fucking shit that guy probably did.
Yeah, could be.
I'm not making any accusations. I'm just saying that I've heard enough about Eastwood to think that there's maybe a bunch of stuff that we're not going to like hearing later.
Yeah. But this movie sucks.
Oh, that's great. Let's not watch it.
Yeah. Go ahead and not watch
It's a good
this.
idea not to watch that. Then we have The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Ooh, this is a good one. Have you watched this again recently?
Yeah. This is a good one to put on because of the vignette nature. It doesn't feel like a 2-hour commitment. I probably watched it at this point maybe 5 or 6 times total.
Have your rankings changed?
Oh, in terms of which ones I like the most? I don't think so. It's probably going to be that first one or the Gold Prospector.
I think so too. For me,
just because that first one, that song is so loopy, and his performance is so perfectly cartoonish.
Which song are you talking about?
The
Cowboy Gets His Wings?
the guy that directed the movie Timberlake Nelson's, the opening song that he sings about being
The openings. Okay,
Yeah.
the opening. Because he's got that and he's got Surly Bill or Surly Joe.
Oh, no, fuck that song.
Oh, you didn't like that?
I mean, no, it's okay. I just mean the first one is the one I meant.
And then the one where he goes up into heaven, that's when a cowboy gets his wings. I think all of them are awesome.
And Jack Black is not in that, by the way.
Exactly.
That whole movie is about death, right? And especially the end one, which is a metaphorical sort of purgatory type of thing, where they're in the coach and everybody's saying that they're going to the hotel for some reason. The weird thing about that one though is the two guys have a dead body with them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which throws you off a little bit. Will throw me off anyway, because if we're in purgatory, then what is that?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
You know?
I don't know.
I love that last one, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I know. In fact, usually when I see people's ratings or rankings on this, it seems to be towards the bottom, but I think that's genius. I think that's a perfect way to end that, and to totally like tie up that theme that you're talking about of death. I think that one, like for whatever reason, like hit me in the gut a little bit.
Yeah.
It's good shit. I really like it.
Yeah. Then we have Brokeback Mountain.
Ooh.
Movie that probably should have won Best Picture in 2005, but Crash ended up taking it. Jack Nicholson, I'll never forget being shocked when he read that, when he's like, Best Picture of 2005 goes to Crash. Wow. So Brokeback Mountain is a tremendous movie.
Yes, it is.
And I think probably this might be the first time some people were ever exposed to any kind of adult gay relationship in a movie. Like, most of the time it was thrown off as a joke or as a token thing or whatever. But here, as acted by Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal, really, really, really good.
Did you realize how, because you saw every movie in 2005, did you realize how great this movie was when you first saw it, or were you mired in all the suckage?
No, because I also liked Crash to an insane degree in 2005, and I haven't seen Crash since, but it has become one of those shorthand that shouldn't have won Best Picture, and especially now that I've seen Brokeback Mountain 2 or 3 more times, I'm like, okay, yeah, I should have given that one more credit. I think I still made it 2 or 3 that year.
Oh yeah, I think Crash is. I believe it was Crash that has Matt Dillon and
Ryan Phillippe.
Well, yeah, who was the woman? It's Terrence Howard, and who is the woman that is it Tandy Newton? That he harasses. Yeah, it's Tandy Newton. It suffers in my mind now because I think I know behind the scenes they didn't tell her that he was going to get physical like that.
Oh, really?
They didn't tell her that he was going to go to the places that he literally goes to. And that it's like Last Tango in Paris. I can't watch Last Tango in Paris anymore just because I know the ickiness behind it. Now, the ickiness in Last Tango in Paris, ickier.
Hey, let me ask you something. Where do we draw that line of ickiness?
I think anything non-consensual.
Then do we have to talk about Alien? Because he didn't tell anybody except John Hurt that thing was going to burst out of his stomach.
But that also wasn't physically harming or...
That's what I'm saying. Do we draw it at physical harm? Because it can't just be consent, because that has led to some great moments.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about like anything overtly sexual that could be literally sexual assault. Like Marlon Brando and Bertolucci didn't tell the lady about like the butter and all that stuff.
Or even non-sexual assault, like Tarantino spitting on Uma Thurman.
Sure, yeah.
I think crosses a line.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there have been a lot of directors who have tried to surprise their actors to get legitimate reactions, and some of it's okay. Some of it's clearly not.
Well, yeah, Hitchcock and Kubrick both were legendary for this.
Well, and not in good ways, yeah.
Probably, would not work in this climate. Hopefully would not work in this climate. But it did lead to amazing, cinema.
I've seen that movie about Hitchcock where I think it's Toby Jones plays Hitchcock, and he's just... Tippi Hedren's in there trying to film that scene for the birds, and she's done. She's over it, and he just keeps making her do it over and over and over and over.
What was that movie?
I forget what it was called.
Yeah, I forgot too.
I think it was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down.
There was one that was just called Hitchcock that I think Anthony Hopkins played Hitchcock in. And what was the Toby Jones one?
The Girl.
The Girl?
Wow,
Yeah.
what an odd and terrible title.
2012 TV film. Well,
Although
was that HBO?
I think the point of the movie is how poorly he treated female actors, specifically that one.
But that's sort of how Brokeback Mountain is, right? It's almost tied to Crash in this weird way, and we've gone on this big Crash thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's but Brokeback Mountain, like this is the movie. I know that a lot of people back then, didn't understand this, because when a lot of people who never saw Brokeback Mountain had prejudices about that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, and they were like, "What, the dude from Brokeback Mountain? What do you mean?" And I was like, "Dude, did you see him in Brokeback Mountain?
Yeah,
that guy can kick some ass, man."
Oh, fuck yeah. What's interesting about Brokeback, especially the stuff in Wyoming, is how much of a dickhead he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a total asshole to Jake Gyllenhaal's character.
I mean, to everyone.
To everybody.
To everyone, yeah.
He could have just, left that alone, or watching the fireworks and whatever, but I'm glad he didn't in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't. It's one of those it's not just like, we are not I don't know if we're the people that need to be talking about this movie and all the different, like, real deep themes that are in it, but it feels like to me that his character is playing, it's not just some, Brokeback Mountain isn't just some gay movie, is what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
Yeah.
And even the characters who are having this relationship, they aren't sure about it either.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been questioning it. That's what makes it so powerful for me, is like, even the Heath Ledger character is married and has kids and all that, because they want to have the normal life. They don't want to have to be.
Well, Jake marries Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
And that's why this movie always wrecks me, but I think it's a tragedy, right?
Yeah.
It's an epic romance tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
And the first third of it is just blissful. Like, if you don't want to fall in love with someone or something, watching that first half hour, I don't know what's wrong with you. The music is great, the scenery's gorgeous, it's lush, it's just Then the middle section, they're both married, and they kind of occasionally see each other on fishing trips, but not as often as they'd like. And that's sort of where. And then by the end of it, God, it's like the world was never going to let those two guys be, and they both knew it, and only one of them accepted it, and Jake took way too long to accept it. And, God, the movie crushes me. It really
does, because it does set you up for that sucker punch, not a sucker punch, but like that punch at the end, because you see those moments, the moment where Anne Hathaway catches them, you could see how absolutely in love they are at that moment.
Oh, you mean Michelle Williams?
Yeah.
Is it Michelle Williams?
Because Jake Gyllenhaal shows up to the house, and then he comes down the stairs, and then they just start making out.
Yeah.
And Michelle Williams comes up, and she's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But it's a tragedy in just the fact that he couldn't get to that point where let's just have this relationship. And would you say that it's Jake Gyllenhaal that had the hard time getting to that point, or Heath Ledger got to the?
I think Heath Ledger's there all along. The world is never going to let us be. That's why he says to him on one of those fishing trips, if you can't handle it, or if you can't change it, you just got to handle it. You just got to bear it. And then Jake shows up when he finds out about the divorce, thinking we're going to be together now. And Heath Ledger's like, no, man, I got my daughters here. We can't do this in this world.
Yeah.
And then, but I don't think they can. I think that's part of the point of the movie. Jake Gyllenhaal gets killed for being gay.
Yeah.
I mean,
and there's been some like outside discussion as to who was the one responsible for killing him. Like, was it the Anne Hathaway character? There's like some outside discussion out of that. Was the Anne Hathaway character responsible for that?
You could make an argument for a handful of characters.
Yeah.
Randy Quaid's character, even.
Yeah.
Not that I think that needs to be answered, because I think the point is,
it
could have
doesn't.
been so many different people.
It doesn't need to be answered, but ends with that crazy, great shot of Ledger's, like putting Jake's, and I don't know the names of the characters. I'm sorry, but putting the
Innocent Jack.
Innocent Jack.
Yeah.
putting the coat to his face and just like, just hugging it and just like, showing exactly what the truth of this whole story is that, that was just something that he couldn't ever allow himself to have and everything. A little cameo from Linda Cardellini there at the end too. His daughter.
Yeah. Well, this performance is every bit as good as his Joker performance.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that he takes his voice down. Bradley Cooper actually did this too. Bradley Cooper's got an amazing vocal range. Between A Star Is Born and Rocket Raccoon. He can really do anything. But Heath Ledger, I don't even know how he got to this low register because you've never heard it in any other performance that he did. But he's like the Marlboro Man. He's got this deep voice and this growl and all that stuff. And he's fully committed. This was... What came before this? What came between this and 10 Things I Hate About You?
Knight's Tale.
Yeah, you had Knight's Tale. You had The Four Feathers.
Patriot. Casanova.
Oh, Patriot, yeah.
That Catholic priest one.
Oh, The Order?
The Order.
Oh.
I think Linda Cardellini's playing his girlfriend and Kate Mara's playing his daughter. I just watched this a couple days ago.
Yeah.
They're both in it.
Yeah, Kate Mara is his daughter. And then, Linda Cardellini... But Linda Cardellini knows that he's gay, I think, or at least...
I do believe she hints at it.
Yeah. I don't remember if that... I guess so. I guess she's his girlfriend. I don't know.
Yeah, because and I'm remembering now he sees her again in a diner when she's got a new boyfriend and they have like an exchange.
Yeah.
She was basically like, you didn't want me. Well,
There's Anna Faris is in this too.
There's what?
Oh, yeah.
Anna Faris is in this for a minute.
That's right. Then we have Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I have seen this a long time ago. I remember enjoying it immensely. Paul Newman and Robert Redford, what a great team up that was in the 70s, man. The Sting was great. I believe the same director on this too, George Roy Hill, I think, did this. But this is a great movie.
This movie fucking rules.
It's on my list of shame.
This is right down the center of the plate for you.
I would love it. I have no doubt. I just have never seen it.
Because Robert Redford's great in this. He plays the Sundance Kid. And then Paul Newman, you see Paul Newman in a lot of different, like, The Sting, The Hustler, and stuff like that. And even The Verdict, a lot of these. I don't think he's ever having as much fun as he's having as Butch Cassidy here. Because he's like... constantly chattering, constantly talking, able to talk his way out of anything in this movie. And, oh, man, it's just so much fun to watch. I've seen this fairly recently a few times, at least at different parts. It's so good. You absolutely would love this movie.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and it's got one of the most famous endings of a movie of all time as well. Do you think, I don't know if this is common knowledge or anything, but do you think Thelma and Louise sort of made that their sort of Butch and Sundance ending because of that?
Yeah. Because they go out in a blaze of glory, man.
Yeah, man. Then we have Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is just an excellent movie.
Jesus Christ, this movie's excellent. I've been revisiting a lot of like early Spielberg stuff, Jaws in particular, and Close Encounters in particular. And first of all, Richard Dreyfuss is awesome.
Yeah.
In both of those. And second, man, this is what gets me upset about the recent Spielberg kind of almost phoning it in, is how good those early ones were. So good.
There's a sense of awe when you see these spaceships.
Oh, absolutely.
For the first time. I mean, yeah, there's a couple of moments where they're flying around and, we don't know what the real deal is at that point. But when they show up at that rock, that's the part that you are instantly transported into another time in Hollywood with that, because you don't see that anymore. Even movies like Arrival, which are excellent sci-fi, don't do that, and I love Arrival.
Yeah.
But Close Encounters has got the music from John Williams, that sense of like, whoa, this is something really special going on here.
That ending takes like 40 minutes or so, like on Devil's Tower in Wyoming.
Yeah, you think that, you think that once they get to the rock, okay, it's got 15 minutes, but no, it's a half a movie.
Yeah.
The first half is just Dreyfuss basically saying goodbye to his wife and kids because he's so obsessed.
No shit, man.
Yeah.
Which is very yada yada.
Yes.
It's like, well, he had to do it.
Yeah, he was compelled.
Yeah.
He gets on the ship too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's gone.
That is one thing, by the way. Close Encounters I never got was that the sort of the, I guess, is it, I don't know if it's not the first thing that happens, because anyway, you have Melinda Dillon's kid gets abducted somewhere in the first 20-30 minutes of the movie. And then the aliens all decide that we're going to go meet at this rock, and then they let everybody go that they've ever abducted, including pilots from World War II and all that, and the kid that they abducted 2 weeks ago. We didn't need him.
It doesn't take as long to experiment on a kid.
I guess not. It makes you really wonder what the purpose of their abductions were. If that's the case, if they were benevolent this whole time and everything, okay, we'll just let everybody go. Maybe because we were finally able to communicate with them with the keyboard and everything. They understood that we weren't just ants. I don't know.
He knows about cattle mutilations. The CIA's been suppressing for years.
You like this movie, right?
Oh, yeah, I love it. In fact, I don't want to do this because I don't want to start a fight, but I almost said fuck E.T. Because this is such a superior movie.
This movie's better than E.T.
I know, and that was my only point.
Yeah.
I think E.T. is clearly for kids, and this is a more for grown-ups, and it's two different takes on alien encounters, and they're both great.
Yeah, this came out the same year as Star Wars, too, and if you want to just see where Hollywood was branching off towards Star Wars more than Close Encounters.
Right.
Close Encounters was a huge hit in its own right. It just wasn't as big as Star Wars. It makes you wonder what sci-fi would look like and blockbusters would look like if Star Wars had not come out and just Close Encounters did. What would we have had then?
It's kind of weird that this is like the thinking man's sci-fi, right?
Yeah, even though it's not like
it's
ridiculous.
populist,
It's not cerebral in any way,
right.
but it is still one of my all-time favorites. It's
man.
Just a classic.
Fucking John Williams, man. Like how does that dude's brain work? How does he come up with this almost like atonal sequence of notes that gets him permanently ingrained into your head, and then makes it such a plot point? You've got the board and the dun, 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 and then the tube is boom, boom.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so great.
Well, and then when it gets like really fast too.
Well, it does that, and then it goes off into like little derivatives where it's like,
yeah.
God damn, it's so good.
Then we have, did you hear about the Morgans?
I did not.
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
Oh, this movie sucks assholes.
Hugh Grant and Sarah Jessica Parker. So you've seen this.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. This has got a decent cast, too. It's got Sam Elliott, Mary Steenburgen, Elizabeth Moss, Wilford Brimley and his diabetes.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's awful. It's like a road trip movie. No. They move from New York to Wyoming and try to rekindle their romance because they're about to get divorced. Fuck.
That's what you do.
Movie.
That's what all marriage therapists recommend.
That's right.
Going to Wyoming?
Yes, adding lots of stress to your marriage will improve your marriage.
Right.
Oh, no, they are about to get divorced, but the reason that they moved to Wyoming is because they witnessed a mob hit in New York, and they're in witness protection.
Oh, so it's a sequel to Mickey Blue Eyes?
Does James Caan come back?
Gene Triplehorn?
Oh, shit. Yeah, fuck this movie.
I've been watching a lot of Gene Triplehorn lately.
Yeah?
Not on purpose. Well,
Yeah?
Basic Instinct has been running on Stars.
Yep.
Hard to not watch.
Right.
And then there's another one that she was... Oh, The Firm has been running a lot.
Man, Gene Triplehorn, one of my... I know I've said this a lot, one of my early crushes. But she was so beautiful. And Ben Stiller was dating her at the time of all that. I
Oh,
think.
wow.
That was one of his girlfriends.
I had no idea.
She's excellent in The Firm. She's actually pretty excellent in Basic Instinct.
She is.
Yes.
The weird thing about that movie is how violent all the sex is. Like, not even with Sharon Stone and Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
Like, when he has sex with Gene Triplehorn, that shit is
that's revenge.
violent.
It's like revenge.
I was going to say, though, I think he's motivated, even in that scene, by how horned up Sharon Stone has made him.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, I don't get the sense that they've ever had sex that violently before.
No, and
Yeah.
it seems like she's into it just as much as he is.
Yeah, she didn't know she liked it.
She was in some movie like not too long after that, maybe Waterworld. It was a romantic comedy, and Jennifer Aniston had like a cameo in it. And it's an interesting movie to watch at the time because Aniston is just starting to get big with Friends, and Gene Triplehorn's a known entity at this point. And like it couldn't be more incongruous when you watch it now to see Jennifer Aniston just show up in this one, and it's something about you or something.
Waterworld, Mickey Blue Eyes, Sliding Doors, Big Love. Forgot she was in Big Love. I forgot about that show.
Till There Was You.
Till There Was You. Did you ever watch Big Love?
I did a couple of episodes, I think.
I liked it. I think every episode that I saw was pretty engaging.
I think that show it came out at the wrong time. If that show was coming out today, I think it'd have tons of interest because there's a lot more. I think outside nosy interest in Mormon lifestyle today than there used to.
I mean,
be.
it lasted 5 seasons.
It's funny. You look at Till There Was You, and like I was sitting there going, "Oh, maybe Jennifer Aniston wasn't in this." That's how far down the road she is. Then we have The Hateful Eight.
Yeah, okay.
I love this movie hard.
That's okay.
I love it.
I very much enjoy it.
Oh, do you really?
I didn't like it.
I think there's something about this that is so Agatha Christie.
Yeah, it's like 10 Little Indians.
Very much. And it's
also
so,
like The Thing a lot, too. And I feel like that's one of the movies that Tarantino was going for with this, especially with Kurt Russell's involvement.
Yeah.
But just all the snow and the who's the real killer and, that type of thing going on.
Why don't you like it?
I didn't like it. I mean, I feel like the performances were fine. Maybe I wasn't in the right place for a 2.5 hour talky. I don't know.
It is very talky.
It's talky as fuck. It's
but
the most
Tarantino talky.
Man, Tarantino's talky, but Tarantino breaks up the talky with other stuff sometimes.
Well, he breaks it up with Jennifer Jason Leigh and,
I'm not trying to say you should agree with me. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Wasn't this the movie that got derailed, like leaked? Was it the movie that got leaked?
Yeah, and he apparently had to change things or something which is, by the way, I'm beginning to think you should just go ahead and go with the original thing because only a few people are going to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
And just because spoilers are out there doesn't mean that people are actively going out. People who actively want spoilers are not going to be deterred from watching the movie once it happens. And isn't there some hint that happened with Game of Thrones too? Like there was this idea that they knew where it was going and everybody kind of knew where it was going and they changed it last minute.
Oh, I don't know. I did read that they shot multiple endings.
Oh, really?
Just to keep any peeping Toms from knowing what they were doing.
But I'm beginning to think that you should just go ahead and go with that. Now, Hateful Eight turned out fine to me. I enjoy that type of movie. I mean, it's clearly not one of his best, but
no, I mean, it's not up in the Pulp
but
Fiction.
that doesn't matter. I mean, it's still good. It's still watchable.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed it. It's got a lot of little intrigue in there. There's some stuff you don't know as it's going in, and they sort of peel the onion as it goes on, and I liked it. And it's the typical Tarantino dialogue stuff that I like. So yeah,
especially with Samuel L. Jackson, like he owns this movie. He is badass in this movie.
Oh yeah.
I saw this at the Music Box in Chicago.
Nice.
And it was up in their screening room. Belcourt has this too, right? Mm-hmm. There was like maybe 15 seats in there, and huge screen though, and it was a packed house, but there was only 15 of us there.
Nice,
very cool.
That theater might be twice as big as this room we're in.
The one at the Belcourt.
Belcourt,
yeah.
It's
crazy seeing a movie like that. It's like you're sitting in the living room basically.
Yeah. Then we have Heaven's Gate. I never saw this. Was this Michael Cimino? This was his follow-up to Deer Hunter, and it was, this huge, it's one of those well-known huge bombs. I never saw this, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is, they're out there in Wyoming.
It doesn't have anything to do with the cult?
No. It's Chris Christopherson and Christopher Walken. No, the other guy is John Hurt, actually, that are like frenemies and like the story of their development over the years.
And how did they get to Heaven's Gate? That's the title?
I don't know. In fact, I think the title changed a few times. Everything changed a few times because is it Cimino or Camino?
I think it's Cimino.
He went super crazy over budget, and that was one of the reasons that it was such a it wrecked United Artists. Like it put them out of business. Just this movie because it made nothing. But yeah, I watched it and it's fine. It was certainly didn't deserve the reputation as like one of the worst films of all time. But now it's gotten like a cult status, and like people are saying it's one of the best films of all time. It's not that either.
I don't think this is the type. There's a different classification for a movie like this. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's one of the worst. It's just that it aimed high. It had a huge budget and then bombed.
Right.
So you have that type of thing. There are typical bombs out there that are always losing money, but this one is apparently like one of those that lost a lot of money. Heaven's Gate, Ishtar is always put on this because of I don't even know though if Ishtar might be considered one of those worst movies though. I'm not sure, but it was a huge bomb.
Yeah, totally.
Waterworld, which was called Kevin's Gate, by the way, by many people before that movie came out.
Referring to Costner or to Reynolds?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but I am almost certain it's Costner because of the shorthand that's involved there. But that was sort of the idea, because Waterworld was another one of those that was notorious for spent a lot of money for no return. And then Cutthroat Island would be the same deal, although Cutthroat Island is actually a really bad movie. So.
Last Action Hero got kind of that reputation too, because it was a big budget and it didn't. I don't think it flopped, but it just didn't make anywhere near what they expected.
It tried to directly compete with Jurassic Park, and maybe back in the day, you didn't think that a movie about dinosaurs was going to be this huge like mega blockbuster, and that you could just put Schwarzenegger up against anything. And to be fair, it came out a week after, but still, you're coming into the second weekend of a phenomenon.
Yeah.
When that gets opened and everything, and always will be the movie that marks my movie theater career, Last Action Hero. And that's the movie that
also co-starring Tywin Lannister.
Yep.
That's true.
With the glass eye.
Speaking of cast, let me read you the cast for Heaven's Gate. Chris Christopherson, Christopher Walken, John Hurt, Sam Waterston, and then you got Brad Dourif, Chucky, slash what was his? Is he in Harry Potter?
Wormtongue?
Yeah, Wormtongue.
LOTR.
Isabelle Huppert, Jeff Bridges, Terry O'Quinn, your boy, Tom Noonan, Mickey Rourke, and then Willem Dafoe in his first film. In his film debut.
Really?
Wow. Yes.
That's
Heaven's
crazy.
Gate.
That's a lot of people.
That's right. Yeah. So I'd like to watch it again because when I did watch it, I was like, why is this derided as like one of the worst films of all time? But I also didn't like love it. And it's fairly long too. Yeah, it's 220 minutes.
Nice.
Then we have The House Bunny. Anna Faris is the lead in this one, and she was on a roll during this point. I think she even produced this movie.
It was Happy Madison that produced it. I don't see her on the list, but it may be.
Wait a minute. Does it just say Happy Madison, or are you going through the litany of producers?
Yeah, Adam Sandler, Jack Garaputo, Alan Covert, and Heather Perry.
Okay. Anyway, Anna Faris was on a big hot streak at this point when this movie came out, and I haven't seen it in forever. I do know it's got Emma Stone completely unrecognizable in it. And I'm trying to remember if this movie came out right after Superbad. I think it may have.
It was August 2008.
Yeah, so it came out after Superbad, and so like. I didn't know who she was when that thing came out, but trying to remember the plot of this, isn't this about a Playboy bunny who lives in a sorority house?
Yes, it is. She gets ousted. Do you like this movie?
My wife likes this movie.
Oh, really?
So I've caught bits and pieces of it many times. It's charming enough.
Oh, I really like this movie.
It's fun. Yeah.
She's a Playboy playmate that gets like kicked out because of some malfeasance there. And she
is it playing on the Kendra Wilkinson all the three Hefner girlfriend thing?
Oh,
I don't know but I mean that was around the same time. I don't know if that was a direct inspiration or whatever for this, but she gets kicked out of the thing and somehow makes it over to this Wyoming sorority with all the quote reject sorority sisters, which is Emma Stone.
It's basically like dodgeball at that point,
right?
Yeah.
Kat Dennings is this. Catherine McPhee.
Yeah.
Rumor Willis is in this too.
Oh wow, I forgot about Rumor.
Yeah, and Colin Hanks is Anna Faris's love interest.
Mm-hmm.
So she has to figure out how to be like smart and sophisticated and like more well-rounded instead of superficial, because there's another sorority that's all the superficial people.
Yep.
I think it's delightful.
It's all right. It's okay.
Yeah.
You could have a worse time.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember enjoying it. Then we go to Rampage.
Oh, fuck me.
You guys have seen Rampage. I
Where
haven't.
in Wyoming is this bullshit? That
It's where
facility?
the wolf monster goes
Oh.
when it first crashes down.
Oh.
Yeah. Now the ending, well, it's all over the place because I think he starts off in Miami. Like I think his research facility is in Miami, and then they end up in Chicago because they wreck shit in Chicago.
Oh, it was Chicago. I was thinking it was some other city. God, this movie is so... I would watch Skyscraper and the Helicopter Coast Guard one.
Yeah.
10 times each before I watched Rampage again.
I agree. I totally agree.
It
Did you ever see
is...
this?
Nope.
Oh, it's like being peed on. This movie is just offensively bad.
You're totally right.
That right there reminds me of that Lewis Black thing where he has a joke about how George W. Bush had the big tax break or whatever. You remember the tax break where we all got a check in the mail or whatever? And he's like in the Congress, in their infinite wisdom, they decided to mail us a check at taxpayer costs, and they sent us something in the mail, $1 million or whatever, to tell us that we were getting the check. And then he goes, "I'd rather they came in my mouth."
Jesus Christ.
I know.
Lewis Black is awesome.
Wow.
By the way, as an aside, Anna Faris was executive producer on House Bunny.
I got you. But yeah, this movie, it's probably the most out of the way to explain Dwayne Johnson's physique, because he's a primatologist.
Yes, he is.
And of course he's ex-special forces.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
He's always like some normal guy, but who has all this like badass training. You know? He's like both a SEAL and an Army Ranger and an astronaut.
Man, it's so bad. Run away. It's bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then we have Ready to Rumble, which features noted wrestler David Arquette and Scott Conn.
Did this maybe spark his interest in it, or
it may have?
fuel
I think
it?
he may have already been interested in it when he did this. I don't remember anything about it, except that Rose McGowan plays his love interest in this, and they were brother and sister in Scream. And so,
creepy.
It weirded me out a bit, even though they're actors and they're not really related to each other. But they're so well known as brother and sister in Scream that when they showed up as love interests in this, it was weird. Anyway, Ready to Rumble. Do you remember the story?
Yeah, they're like they're small town Wyoming guys, like buddies, Scott Conn and David Arquette, and like one of those touring wrestling things comes by, and they get somehow involved in like actual professional.
They get
wrestling.
the bug.
They get the bug. Have you ever seen like a live wrestling event?
No.
You haven't?
I haven't.
They came in Chicago. There was a street festival down Southport where I used to live, and they had like they built a wrestling ring in the middle of the street, and we just happened by when they were doing. I think it was actually Lucha Libre because they had the masks on, and it was fascinating because they'd come out when they were introduced. They'd come out and like either high five or like rile up the audience, that kind of thing, if they're heel or hero or whatever it is. And got to see like all the machinations and the moves like up close. It's fascinating. I would never like go to like a Royal Rumble or Raw or whatever that is, but seeing it just kind of by happenstance was very cool.
I remember this not being a good movie though.
This movie sucks ass.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Then we have Red Rock West, which is an excellent movie.
Yes. I haven't seen it in maybe 20 years, though.
Yeah, it's been forever since I've seen it as well. But Nicolas Cage plays a guy who is hired by, and I don't remember who comes to him first. It's the wife or the husband. But has somebody come to him and says, "I want you to kill my husband." And then so he goes to kill the husband, but then the husband has a counter offer. "I want you to kill my wife." And I remember this just being really good. I think Dennis Hopper, and is it Lara Flynn Boyle? Yeah, Lara, and so like that's the story sort of stuck in between this couple who wants to kill each other. And
I'd take both of their money and kill them both.
I think that may have been a possibility, wasn't it?
I don't know.
He thought about doing.
Well, it's been long enough that maybe I just spoiled the movie on accident because I don't remember.
Well, it's J.T. Walsh, I think, plays the husband, right? Because Dennis Hopper is the actual hitman that they mistake.
Oh, okay.
Nicolas
makes sense.
Cage for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. This is an interesting movie. This is John Dahl.
Yeah,
What did John
Dahl
do?
did Rounders, and he also did. Did he do The Last Seduction?
Yes, he did.
And a tremendously promising career in the 90s. Don't think has translated into being a huge big time guy because he's still working, but it's a lot of TV.
Yeah, there's a ton of TV, like House of Cards and Iron Fist.
And you know what? It may be a lot of times if you can get a job just directing TV shows and it's not that big of a deal and it gives you a lot of money, you may just want to do that instead. Sure. And that's perfectly valid because I mean, I'm sure that when you're doing actual features and you work a year or two on it and then it comes out and either people don't like it or they call you a bunch of, untalented hack or whatever, or by the end of it, you're just like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to go to somewhere where they don't blame the director.
I'm going to go make 17 episodes of ER.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He did an episode of Breaking Bad.
Oh, wow.
Which one was that? He did the one called Down. That's the one where Skyler keeps mysteriously leaving without talking to Walt. Jesse's parents throw him out of his own house.
Oh, that's an early one.
That is early.
He did Joyride, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Candy Cane.
That movie's so up your alley.
I love that movie.
I love it, too. I remember I wasn't working at Hollywood 27, and I think he and Russell invited me to come out and watch Joyride with them, and I watched it, and I loved it.
Yeah, that was written by J.J. Abrams.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't crazy?
Wow.
Then we have Red Rock West, by the way, great movie.
Yeah,
I highly recommend it. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember it being really good. Then we have the movie Shane. I can't tell you if I've seen this or not. Every time a big, huge, famous Western comes up, a lot of times I just don't know. I don't think I have seen Shane, actually.
Is this the comeback Shane?
The what?
Isn't there a famous movie line where somebody yells, "Come back, Shane"?
Yeah.
Is this that movie?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's at the end.
It's John Wayne?
No, it's Alan Ladd plays the titular Shane.
Why have I always put John Wayne in Shane? Is it because he's in every other Western?
Yes, that is the reason.
Oh, this movie is awesome. It's it's basically the same story as we always see. Like, you've got to rally the town and all that stuff to fend off a horde of baddies, caterwaulers,
dirty people.
Yeah,
dirty people. This is also the movie I believe that Patrick Stewart was watching in Logan.
Yeah,
this one
I think it is. I think it is.
He was saying how wonderful cinema could be to this girl, and showing her Shane as an example.
Yeah.
That's a great scene in that movie.
Yeah, he just wanted to show him a movie that has the exact amount of letters that Logan is. It's the same thing.
Right. That's right.
But George Stevens, who is one of those sort of unsung all-time like guys. Like he's done a lot of like movies you've heard of and great, or people consider great and everything. Directed Shane. He also did Giant and A Place in the Sun. I've seen A Place in the Sun. I've seen Giant. But
that's a hell of a batting average.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember when we were doing Rushmore directors and everything, whether we mentioned him or not.
I don't think we did.
But he's got a pretty good resume.
Heck yeah, he does.
So yeah, Shane is I'm gonna have to watch that, right?
It's great. Yeah, it's legitimately great.
Western that I really do know that I've seen, and I've seen multiple times, is Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood's Best Picture winner from 1992. This is absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And it brought back the Western for a short time.
Is this the best Clint Eastwood directing performance?
Probably.
I'm going to say yes.
What would be the
Mystic
other
River's up there.
Yeah, Mystic River, and then Letters from Iwo Jima is up there, I would think.
Trouble with the Curve.
Trouble with the Curve. Yeah.
But this is like the most accessible, like, because like Mystic River, you're not just going to pop that on for like, a lark or something like that.
No.
Same thing with Letters from Iwo Jima. Like, you can watch Unforgiven anytime and have a great time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gene Hackman's so good.
Oh, this movie fucking rules.
Oh, yeah. And, Hackman won the Oscar for this. Morgan Freeman is in this. But, yeah.
I love that scene when Clint Eastwood says to Gene Hackman, "Do you feel lucky, punk?" And Gene Hackman says, "They're fueling their missiles."
Yeah. And then they recreate that scene from Absolute Power. I love all that shit. It's the greatest. But yeah, Unforgiven is awesome. We've talked about it many times. Then we have Vice, which I know that you guys love.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is
What?
Cheney from Wyoming?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wyoming
in fact,
as fuck.
there's his daughters running for Senate in Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie, the way they handle that shotgun incident is a little weird.
How did they? I'm trying to remember how they handled
He just
that.
kind of turns and fires. You don't see anything around him, and then it cuts to the other guy going, "Ah, my face," or whatever.
Yeah.
But like it almost, it's exactly between accidental and deliberate, which is, I think, what the official story was. But I wish the movie would have chosen one or the other. Like,
It's
made
pulling
him,
its punches, is what you
yeah,
think?
like either it was a total accident and he's just old or in the middle of a heart attack or something and it goes off, or he's evil and he takes full aim. But the movie just kind of has him turn. He's kind of got it down here and he's like sitting in the open truck door or whatever and fires. And I remember thinking that was a really weird choice.
It is, because they certainly don't pull their punches anywhere else in this movie.
Exactly.
From
Why
the
not
opening
just
thing.
go ahead and say he's evil? He did it on purpose. I don't know.
I guess if you did say that he did that, then they could sue you.
That's probably the reason.
He could probably sue them over like the entirety of the movie, right?
Yeah, I guess. I did like this movie, but there are a lot of moments in it that I wish I would want to cut out of it. Just because I don't like the Shakespeare thing. I don't like just a lot of I understand you came up with this style with The Big Short, but it's sort of, I don't know. There's some parts in this movie that just don't seem to deserve to have that treatment, and there are a couple in there but I ended up liking it.
Did you see that musical video that was cut from this?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I saw it. I don't remember much.
I think it was awesome. Like, I really wish it was in there, but no.
We round out this initial list with Wild Horses, a Kenny Rogers movie from 1985. I never saw this.
Oh yeah, man. That's all I remember too.
Great
It was
song.
on CBS. It came out like a TV movie.
They have the Rolling Stones song in it?
No.
I like the Sundays version.
Oh yeah. Oh, that is good.
That whole
I haven't
album's
heard that
good.
in fucking forever.
Yeah. The
Wow.
whole album's good. And then the Stones did like an acoustic version like a year and a half ago that sounds like a bunch of geriatric guys harmonizing.
It's not good.
I didn't like it.
Oh. I do like me some Kenny Rogers though.
Okay.
I was actually going through my mother-in-law has a ton of his records, and I was going through and listening to him this weekend, and it's good stuff, man.
Yeah,
he always
kind
had
of a rocker.
Yeah, he always had a rock sensibility because he came from that psychedelic. I forget the name, but the group that did What Condition My Condition Is In.
Oh yeah,
was him, and that was very psychedelic and all that stuff. And so he kind of like brought a little bit of rock and roll into his thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about this Wild Horses movie?
I don't remember anything.
You don't remember anything about it?
I saw it.
On the secondary list, we have The Ballad of Josie, 1967 Doris Day movie. I've never seen this.
I think she accidentally kills somebody. I think she kills her husband.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Don't know anything about that one. Dear Prudence, no idea. Jane Seymour Hallmark movie.
You haven't seen it?
Then there's Flicka, which I know is a horse movie. Alison Lohman. Is it Tim McGraw?
I believe so. Yeah, Tim McGraw.
Okay, so mini theater story here. This is only interesting to me. I'm just going to talk about it, and it's only interesting to me.
Sweet.
We had I think it was one of the Medea movies. I can't remember what it was. It was like Why Did I Get Married To, or one of those. And every time you get down to a certain amount of trailers on a movie, like if you have to pull trailers, you have to sort of replenish them. So I pulled off a couple of trailers on this Tyler Perry movie, and I had the decision: do I put Flicka on here, or do I put some other whatever? Because there wasn't very much to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the other one, and I put it in there. And guess who comes in to watch the Tyler Perry movie at this moment in time? Fucking Tim McGraw.
And you could have put his movie.
I could have put Flick on there, and I could have seen the back of his head as he talked to Martina McBride, who's also there, and said, "Hey, that's my movie." I was so upset about it.
That is very disappointing.
It was upset. I wanted to see the reaction.
That was your one shot, man.
Yeah. Damn.
I watched a little bit of Country Strong the other day.
Oh, no. That's got Josh in it, doesn't it?
No, Jeremy.
It's got Jeremy?
Yeah, and that's why I was watching it, because I'd never seen it, and I knew he was playing like the concert promoter. He's actually great in the role. He blends right in with all the other actors. And Tim McGraw actually is not a bad actor. But yeah, that movie's weird. Have you seen that movie? God, it's three movies in one.
That was one of those that just got dumped on our theater, and I was like, "What? We haven't even been showing trailers for this. I don't think."
Well, they shot so much of it here, but it's not worth talking about. But it's three movies in one. Leighton Meester's in that, though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You never saw Flicka?
No.
I mean, it seems you never saw it.
No,
Wyoming horse
I have
movie.
seen a horse movie before, though, and I think that probably covers me.
Alison Lohman was one of those women, though, who could play like a teenager well into her 30s, though. It was really strange. Like, Matchstick Men, she's not, I mean, obviously she's, because that's part of the movie, she's not really 15 in that movie.
Right.
But I think she's actually 20, wait a minute, she's probably 20 in Matchstick Men. But like later on, like she would play these teenage roles and everything, and it's like you're like 30 something, you still look like this.
I really wish she would make a comeback because she's awesome and like Drag Me to Hell. She's fantastic.
Yeah, we looked something up about her, didn't we? That recently, where it seemed like she sort of kind of retired, maybe.
Could be.
She was 23 when Matchstick Men came.
Wow,
24.
Yeah, I mean, she had a couple of kids. Maybe that's what she wants to do.
Yeah, I think we looked this up at one point. Then the Laramie Project.
This is about the Matthew Shepard case.
Yeah, Matthew Shepard. Okay,
wow.
Which was in Wyoming. So there's actually several movies, like documentaries and things like that around this. What a terrible story.
Mm-hmm.
What a terrible story. But I believe this is where the official, quote, hate crime law came from.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely came from the Matthew Shepard thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's awful to think about, and the details are just horrendous, but, like, at least something good came out of that, you know? Laura Linney, Peter Fonda, Jeremy Davies, and Christina Ricci is in this.
Did Davies play Matthew Shepard?
It's in the aftermath, so nobody plays him.
Oh, okay. Then we have Meet the Deedles, not to be confused with Meet the Feebles.
That would be a bad mix-up to me.
Yes, it would. This is about surfing, right? Is this surfing?
Yeah, these dudes are dudes. They're dudes from like Hawaii, and like they come to and they're surfer guys.
Yeah,
and they come to Wyoming,
including Paul Walker.
Yeah,
it looks like from this angle, it looks like Paul Walker and Clark Duke.
I never saw this. I remember we had a poster of it up in Hollywood 27 projection booth for some reason. I didn't put it up there. But yeah, I'm very familiar with the poster, and that's it.
Yeah, well,
Anything
it's a visually arresting poster.
It arrested me from even ever going to see the movie.
That's true. That's very true. Then we have a movie called Nightfall that has Anne Bancroft in it. Have never seen this either, but it looks good.
Yeah.
Anne Bancroft was one of those ladies who's just sexy no matter what age. I mean, seriously, I saw something recently where it was 1990s or whatever.
Great Expectations.
It was not that, but even then,
I wasn't joking.
Yeah.
Nightfall was also the name of one of my brother's chickens, and the first time they decided to have one of their chickens butchered and used for meat, because usually they were just getting the eggs. They talked to all three of their kids, and their kids were old enough, and they understood, and they prepared them for everything. But their middle daughter, they were not prepared for the bond she had made with Nightfall, the chicken.
Oh, really?
And for about a month and a half after, she drew a new picture of Nightfall and put it on her wall.
Oh,
every day.
Oh, God.
This happened to coincide with Thanksgiving when I came to visit, and I got to see the wall of Nightfall.
Oh, God.
The shrine to the dead chicken.
Oh, that's
and
so
my brother
horrible.
was like, we may have made a mistake.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure all parents make some kind of mistakes like this. And then she got over it and moved on, and they've had no problems with any other chicken slaughtering since.
The movie that I was trying to think of was called Love Potion Number 9. Which was on the other day.
It was on the other day, and Dude Man's in it.
Yeah.
He dates Rachel on an Arc of Friends.
Tate Donovan?
Tate Donovan.
Yeah.
I almost called him Tad.
Yeah, you have Sandra Bullock before she's famous at all in that, too.
Yeah.
That movie somehow has come on, like, over the years. It always seems to be on cable, and it always seems to be on at a time that I'm watching. And I don't really remember. I mean, even this past showing, I wasn't really watching it. It was just on in the background. And I was like, I've seen this movie 100 times in some way, but I couldn't tell you everything that happens, really.
Oh no, I couldn't either. He takes a love potion. Everybody wants it.
Yeah,
it
well,
turns out to be a nightmare. He hates it. He wants to get it, do away with it.
Yeah, I think he wants this one woman, and then he has an actual organic relationship with Sandra Bullock, but Sandra Bullock is drawn by some other dude who's taken the love potion. And the guy who's taking the love potion is very controlling and making sure that she doesn't ever hang out with Tate Donovan, and that's essentially the movie. That was not in Wyoming, though.
Number 9.
Then we have Spencer's Mountain, a Henry Fonda movie. I have not seen this. Super Volcano, you say Jesus afterwards. Is it about Jesus?
Is it a sci-fi production?
Look at this fucking plot summary.
That's ridiculous.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Is it about a super volcano that just like is it the sequel to Volcano?
It's after racism is ended.
After racism is over.
Dante's super volcano.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a Sharknado type of thing, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, because there is a super tornado. There is a super volcano under Yellowstone.
Well, this is where, that's in Yellowstone.
Okay, well, it's there. That's a real thing, and it is inevitable to blow. And when it does, about 2/3 of the U.S. and beyond will disappear.
Well, maybe that's what happens here.
Most experts think it's hundreds and hundreds of years from happening, but I think on a geological timetable, it's actually overdue.
Oh, really?
Anyway,
thank you for.
But overdue can be thousands of years in a planet's lifetime. I'm just saying, supervolcanoes are a real thing, and if you want to be horrified, go Googling.
Yeah. Well, hey, also you can watch this 2005.
Yeah. An Unfinished Life, which came out in 2005, which means I did see it, which also means that I have completely forgotten that it existed.
Sounds like a movie I watched.
Lasse Hallström directed this. It has has
really good cast.
Jennifer Lopez, Robert Redford, Morgan Freeman, Josh Lucas, Damian Lewis, Cameron Manheim. The story, and looking at some of the frames of this, I'm like, yeah, I definitely saw this, but it's the IMDb says, desperate to provide care for her daughter, down on her luck, Jean moves in with her father-in-law from whom she is estranged. Through time, they learn to forgive each other and heal old wounds. That's why I forgot about this.
That sounds really...
Yeah, because I don't believe in forgiving each other and healing old wounds. So I just didn't. I found the movie bullshit.
Yep, forgiveness is bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really is.
There was I cut it recently, but I wrote a sin recently where somebody in the movie said, "I forgive you," and I was like, "Forgiveness is overrated. Just keep carrying that grudge." I ended up cutting that sin because it wasn't about the movie. But.
The Virginian,
Ooh.
4 movies from 1914 to 1946. I never saw this either.
Yeah, man.
And then Wind River, which is a okay. So you guys still haven't seen Wind River, right?
I have no excuse for
Hey,
why I haven't
let's
seen
remember in the future to go back in time and watch Wind River.
it. Okay. Yeah.
Now we've seen it. We can
Now
talk
we've
about it.
seen it.
I am so ashamed I haven't gotten to this yet. This is probably the longest I've owned a movie I was dying to see without watching it. And I really, really should have found time to get to it before this Wyoming bullshit.
Yeah, this is Taylor Sheridan, who wrote Hell or High Water. Also, is a part of that Yellowstone show that you love so much.
Yep.
But Wind River, I'm going to have to watch it again because I did not like it as much as everybody else did. I liked it, but I think a lot of people were trying to make this out to be like some like modern classic, and I wasn't quite there after my first viewing. But it's good, and I recommend it. Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen not in a Marvel movie.
No, thank God.
Not doing a Romanian accent.
Not doing a Romanian accent.
Not doing a
Not doing a
yeah.
Romanian accent.
But it's about this. It's about this murder that happens on a Native American reservation, and it's hard to actually investigate those things because it's a different set of rules. It's snowing constantly, so evidence is getting buried. Nobody wants to talk, that type of thing. So I love murder mysteries and stuff like that. Love this movie, and it has a satisfying conclusion. It's just wasn't quite like, it's got a 7.7 on the IMDb. I'd probably put it a little bit lower than that, but it's good.
It's a great song. Wind River.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
And that does it for Wyoming, and it does it for our road trip.
That's right.
Wow. There's no states that start with Z?
Not that I know of.
None.
That's something to shoot for.
New Zealand isn't a state.
There's just Zealand.
Zealand.
But we are going into uncharted territory for a follow-up.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people have asked, are we going to go to other countries and all that? Not yet. Not in the immediate future, but I'm sure we will at some point. There's only a few countries I think that we could realistically go to that are used all the time.
Yeah.
I've seen movies set in Iran and Iraq and, other places like that. But if you're getting into to a deep dive of movies, probably not. It probably would be better we didn't go through some of those, but I'm never going to put back us into a corner there. We can always do that.
Sure. We can do what we want.
Yeah, that's right. But we're can we say that we're going to space next for the road trip? So we will be doing space. After space, we don't know where this road trip is headed. So we may shelve it for a while. We may bring it back.
Space. One of the frontiers.
Yes.
I can't wait for that. I actually I was like, well, maybe we've got enough to fill an episode or something like that with space movies. Like primarily happen in space. And then I started clicking on it, and it's like all these subgenres, and there's a ton of content that we can get into.
Oh, yeah. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about movie once again.
Woohoo!
And so what have you seen recently, Barrett?
Okay, we did a spot on the School of Rock video for Mubi, And one of the people that were mentioned is the Dardenne brothers, right? Who are French or Belgian. I think they're Belgian. And I had never seen anything that they'd done before. They've got a movie on Mubi right now from them called The Kid with a Bike. It's part of their Cannes takeover, the Cannes Film Festival. And so, like, directors who have current movies in there, they're showing other movies on the service. So The Kid with a Bike is just absolutely arresting visually and performative, and it's amazing. It's about this kid whose father abandoned him, like just fucking left. And then the kid gets shipped off to a home, and he sold his bike. He sold, like, the dad sold his motorcycle and all that stuff. He said, you're going to just do this for a month, and then just, like, left. And the kid is not coming to terms with it. He's calling the dad every day. He's going over to the house to look for him and stuff like that. He will not accept that his dad is just gone. And this kid has just a brilliant performance. He couldn't be more than, like, 8-9 years old. And he is extremely troubled. He's acting out. He's getting into fights. He's lashing out. He's pushing people away. The only thing that he wants is to contact his father. And eventually he does in this movie. And it is heartbreaking. It is absolutely soul-crushing. But what he lacks in the paternal thing, he ends up hooking up with this woman, a hairdresser, who agrees to let him live with her on the weekends. And eventually, maybe a little bit more. And it's played by Cécile de France, who I've never seen before, but apparently she's very, very famous, a huge thing in Europe. She's absolutely fantastic. I would totally recommend this movie.
That's perfect.
I would totally recommend this movie. This is worth signing up alone. This is an awesome movie.
Wow, that's a strong recommend.
It really is.
Especially when the sign up we're asking you for costs you nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll tease the end of this little spot by saying you can get a month of Mubi free.
Yes,
if you follow the link Mubi.com/Cinemasins.
That's it.
Yeah. I watched Gus Van Sant's Paranoid Park.
Had you seen that before?
I had not. I've seen quite a bit of Gus Van Sant recently. I had seen Elephant in the last couple of months, and I think there was another one that I saw. But Paranoid Park is an interesting movie. It's told in sort of like out of order. It's about this guy who he likes skateboarding, and he and his buddy happen on this park that's got an actual name, but everybody there calls it Paranoid Park. It's the skateboard park that everybody goes to. And one night he decides that he's going to hook up with a bunch of these people who seem cool and blah blah blah. And we don't see anything that happens after he meets those friends. I think maybe you see them like smoking pot or something, but then later on we don't see what's the aftermath of that is. But we do know that there is a murder being investigated around the train yards that are around Paranoid Park. And at first we're like, I don't know if he's involved in this, or if he knows who did this, or if he's even involved at all. But all we know is that this happened near some place that he frequents often. Meanwhile, his parents are getting divorced, and he's got a girlfriend. The girlfriend's played by Taylor Momsen.
From Gossip Girl?
Wow. I guess Gossip Girl.
She's from Gossip Girl.
Wow.
But
she's from the How the Grinch Stole Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
see,
that's right.
That was sort of like, for some reason I had it in my head when I started this thing that it was a 2003 movie. So I was like, 3 years older Taylor Momsen's going to look kind of like Grinch Taylor Momsen. And no. she's like 14 in this movie, and then this guy, they're dating, but he obviously isn't really into her for whatever reason. There's a point where he says something to the effect of Jennifer's a virgin, which is it's bad because she's gonna want to do it soon or something like that. But yeah, he doesn't seem to be into her because she's very like one of the popular gals in school and very drama, and like just wants to be in this relationship to be in the relationship. Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, this movie keeps switching perspectives and telling you switching times and stuff, and you start figuring out more and more about how this murder or whatever they're investigating, how involved he is with it and everything. And obviously I won't spoil that here for you if you would like to see this movie. But it's an interesting thing because you do know his involvement by the middle of the movie. So the rest of it is sort of like, sort of a character study almost. Like I said, interesting movie from him. I liked it. I really did like it. It's just that, it's one of those that's kind of hard to get into at first because there's these slow motion shots of him skateboarding and they last a really long time. And you're like, what kind of movie? What did I get into? But it's got, it's the way Gus Van Sant sort of is. He'll have that real like arty farty side of him. And then he'll go and get into actual story and everything. Who's the guy that featured in Good Will Hunting, the song that's in that?
Elliott Smith.
Elliott Smith. He has a lot of Elliott Smith in this. And I feel like he did this also in Elephant or one of the others. He really likes he even uses the same song from Good Will Hunting in this at one point. But he really likes using some Elliott Smith in his movies.
Tell you what, that Waltz No. 2 by Elliott Smith is one of the best songs ever written.
Is that the I never want to know you now?
Yeah, I'm never going to know you well, but I'm going to love you. Yeah.
God, so good.
Yeah.
Anyway. Peak Elliott Smith is like up there with anybody's peak.
Yeah, and he just never had like industry people. They all know him. They all knew who he was and that his music was great. He just never sought out that big stage and that fame, and he was happy to play clubs. And I think Van Sant and he were friends at some point.
Ah, okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, it would make sense if that's the case because I think I've heard him in at least 3 movies using Elliott Smith songs.
Jeez.
But anyway, good movie, and I would recommend this one as well for the service if you wanted to come and get you some movie.
Yeah.
Get you some.
This is the perfect time to sign up because especially for like American audiences, some people like me who are familiar with like Lars von Trier. There's a movie from Tommy Lee Jones on here called The Homesman. Gus Van Sant, like directors that you're familiar with, but maybe haven't seen these movies. This is a great time. It's part of that Cannes takeover. This is the time to sign up.
Well, and it's a great counter to at least the American summer bombast of the theater season. June and July. You can kind of sit back, pour a glass of wine, and enjoy a nice fine art movie.
Yes.
And you can do it for free.
That's right.
If you sign up at movie.com/cinemasins.
Yes. MUBI.com/cinemasins. 30 days free.
That's a lot. That's a lot of movies.
Yeah. I don't know why my voice cracked.
We ready for some recommends and warns?
Yes, indeed, sir.
Totes amaze balls.
They're great.
It won the Academy Award.
Oh, for what?
For best movie ever made.
Oh, God, Lord Jesus, am I ready?
Oh, bring it.
Oh, you ready?
Yeah.
Do you remember last week?
I do.
When I told you about a Netflix movie that I was incredibly excited to watch because I had read that it was basically unwatchable.
Mm-hmm.
Chinese, $700 million Chinese language sci-fi blockbuster, The Wandering Earth.
Well, I didn't see that, but
I saw 11 and a half minutes.
Oh, wow.
I was a little drunk, and I took notes. So I'm just going to read you. This would be basically a rough draft of a Sins script if I were writing Sins for The Wandering Earth.
Totally write Sins.
All right, so I wrote, oh wait, I got to make this bigger so my blind ass can read. Holy shit, I thought American film logos were crazy and over-excessive. My next note is wall of credits. Ah, it's Earth from above. And then somebody says in quotes, at this rate, the sun will engulf Earth in 100 years. And I didn't even have to comment on that. I just put that in quotes because that's in the movie. Another quote, decided to propel Earth out of our solar system. And then I wrote 10,000 Earth engines. Oh, my God. And then I wrote, saluting. They're still speaking Mandarin, even though I definitely changed it to English. This shit is so crazy, I needed English. Cities are under each engine? This makes no sense. 2,500-year voyage. The fuck?
There's a city under each engine?
That's what I wrote. That little girl has a Wookiee hood. Cryo sleep. Space movie's best friend. Polaroids? And then I wrote, no shit, the premise of this movie is that they made some machines to move Earth and intentionally drive it out of our solar system in search of a better situation. And that is maybe the biggest fuck you to actual science since the movie Species. Super Mario here with his room of overabundant gadgets. I don't know what that
This
means.
is all within the first 11 minutes?
Yes, the last note note is, and I'm out. 11 minutes, 30 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, it is all kinds of kooky. Now, granted, if I watched it sober, well, I might not even last 11 minutes. I might cut out sooner. But once I realized the premise of the movie was literally, let's drive Earth out of our solar system. It's literally the wandering Earth. Let's go find a better solar system. What the fuck?
That doesn't make sense.
No, it makes all the no sense.
Yeah, so you're running away from the sun to escape the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, the sun's going to engulf the Earth in 100 years.
Yep.
Does it look good? Like, did the movie look good?
Expensive.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I needed to understand, like, I can do Mandarin audio with English subs pretty well, but it was so confusing. I did switch it to English dub just so I could try and follow what was happening. And no, I didn't make it. So that's a hard warn.
So the premise is what like took you off of that.
Yes, in fact, I'm pretty sure they're going to jump ahead after 2,500 years of cryosleep or some shit, and the movie's going to be about them trying to plop Earth into some other solar system. But the very concept of it is so goddamn absurd. I can't even.
How did that movie make a ton of money then? If everybody's reacting to it this way, were people mandated in China to watch it?
Okay, maybe you're joking, but I would buy that. But also the people who are hating it are Americans. I think that's how different tastes are in China versus. I mean, Great Wall made a shit ton of money in China.
Yeah.
And that's an undeniable turd. So, I mean, maybe they just aren't looking for the same things in their movie entertainment that we are.
Yeah.
And maybe they loved it.
Great cameo from Matt Damon in Great Wall.
Cameo.
Is that
That's my hard warn. It's a record warn.
okay?
I think some people might have fun with it.
I actually want to check it out. I was thinking about that the other day, actually.
It feels like the kind of warn where once I warn it, like 5 or 10 people are going to come out next week and say, "Hey, I watched it. It was terrible, but I loved it."
It could be like a Passengers type of thing, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, not for me. I wasn't that drunk.
I'm going to recommend a movie from Jeremy Saulnier, who did Green Room. He did a movie before that called Blue Ruin.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess he's got, I'm trying to think, does he have a color trilogy thing going on, or is that just a...
Then he did Red Rock West.
Yeah. It looks like those are the only 2 movies he has with colors in the name. Anyway, Blue Ruin is about this guy who his name is Dwight. We think that he's just homeless. He's just a homeless guy, and we see him bathing in somebody else's house, and he's like stealing clothes and all that. And we quickly find out that recently, or I don't know how long ago it was, his parents were killed by this guy who was being let out of prison on this day. And so he immediately comes up with the plot that I'm going to kill that guy as soon as he comes out of prison. And so he gets all, he drives around in this like blue Pontiac, which I believe is where the name of Blue Ruin comes from. It's a blue Pontiac or something. It's a tow up vehicle. So he sort of stalks this guy as he comes out of the prison, and his family greets him and everything, and they go to this bar where apparently I guess they work or they're whatever, and he kills that guy. And spoiler alert, he kills that guy. But because he left such a mess of it, and because he's left so many things behind on it, they know that the family knows that he did it, and this family's a bunch of criminals, so he knows that they're going to start coming after him and his family next. His family is played as a guy. He has a sister who has kids and everything, and so he comes back to tell her that I'm back and all that. And oh yeah, by the way, killed that guy who killed our parents. And she's like, I'm glad that you did this, but holy shit, you know. So it becomes this whole thing of this other family comes after them, and this guy trying to run away from them, and at some points he gets the upper hand, and then they get the upper hand, and so on and so forth. It's an excellent movie.
Really?
Yeah. It's excellent. It's an hour and a half, very short. Well done, well acted. I liked this movie more than I liked Green Room, and I know that Green Room got a lot of play back when it first came out. Everybody was saying how great that was. This movie is a little bit better, I think. And it doesn't have like super shocking graphic violence, although there is a little bit of violence in it. But there's something that ties these two families together, and I won't get into all that, but that is the crux of it. Really, really enjoyed it.
Really?
Yep.
Green Room, is that the one where they're playing a show for a bunch of Nazis?
Yeah, they go to this band gets a sort of a break or a gig that's at this bar, and yes, the bar is run by a whole bunch of neo-Nazis, including Patrick Stewart, who's the main guy in it. It's one of the last Anton Yelchin movies. Got Imogen Poots in it too as well. But that movie's really good. It's a little bit more violent and gross, but it's funny because they could have probably in Green Room, they probably could have just, played a gig and then left, and it wouldn't. They're not expecting just a bunch of neo-Nazi. I don't remember in Green Room that the audience is just expecting a bunch of racist shit or anything. They just want to hear hard rock and all that, but it becomes, I think, untenable to them that they're in this situation, and they draw the attention of the neo-Nazis from that. But anyway, I would highly recommend Blue Ruin.
All right. To check that out.
Yep.
Did you buy it, or was it on one of the?
There was some night that had some time to kill, so I was like, I think I got this one. It's on Netflix for free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
nice. Well, speaking of Netflix, I was cruising it the other day, and I saw A Clockwork Orange is on there.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen A Clockwork Orange many times, but I haven't seen it probably in about 10 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always loved it, right? Because it's got such indelible images, of course, with the eye clamps on there and the opening shot at the milk bar and all these things, singing in the rain, all that stuff. That's been like ingrained into culture, but I haven't like explored it and really watched it. So I watched it, and you know how much I love Stanley Kubrick.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm McDowell, strangely enough, after insulting his acting ability, is fucking amazing in this movie. I honestly don't know how I feel about this movie anymore.
It has some troublesome images in it.
It does, and what I'm conflicted about is why this movie exists. So the movie and the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alex Burgess, I think.
Anthony Burgess.
Anthony Burgess wrote the book. And the movie itself revels so much in Alex's, the main character, his evilness, that it, by proxy, is making you root for this character. He is essentially the protagonist. And I talked about that a little bit in the Ted Bundy thing that I talked about last week. But it forces you to identify with this character in some way and empathize with him almost. And you get like this vicarious thrill from all the shit that he does. And I don't know if I want to go along with that. I understand, I think, the concept behind this is that, we're exposing the ultraviolence and the in-out stuff to make it essentially a parody and to indulge in that to show how awful it is, right? But I think Kubrick is having, quote, too much fun with this. And I think he is intending for us to have too much fun with this. And I'm not on board with that ride conceptually. Now, visually, the soundtrack is amazing. Wendy Carlos, again, did the music for this, who did The Shining. I say again, she did his 9 years later. But the story itself and the characterization, and then it's almost like ham-handed with him getting his comeuppance later on. I don't know if I love this movie as much as the other Stanley Kubrick movies. So anyway, I'm warning a Clockwork Orange, but that's where I think I am.
Man, I have never once rooted for Alex in this movie.
Oh, yeah?
Never once. And I don't think the movie is asking you to either. Although the way things are shot is the more troublesome thing for me, because yes, it's not really from the victim's perspective. It's more his.
Sure.
So yes, I can see that as well. I never once though have I been like, yeah, do that, because he's doing I think the movie is pretty much saying abhorrent things.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think it's ever gotten me to the point where like, yeah, I want to be like Alex. I think maybe perhaps his transformation with that whatever method or whatever later is not the technique itself, but the idea that he can. Who cares if he's redeemed? He still did these things. That's what,
Oh, and he's not necessarily redeemed, because without that Pavlovian response, I think he would continue doing this shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he definitely would.
Yeah.
But like, it seems like in the movie they're making it sound like, well, as long as we can make him good, then the stuff that he did before he doesn't have to pay for, or didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So that's the part I think sometimes is more bullshit than the actual like what we see before that. But yeah, Kubrick does shoot this in a way where you're like, you're almost shooting this almost titillation style, but I never once rooted for Alex in this thing. It's very conflicting.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And I think having the narration in there too, in the first person from Alex's perspective, he's calling himself like the benevolent narrator and that kind of thing. The language in this, by the way, is gorgeous. The way that the dialogue is just Shakespearean almost. But I think that's another thing that leads me to believe that we're trying to identify with him, because it's from his perspective. It's from his point of view. He's letting you know that these are just manifestations, but they're he's really a good guy, right? And I don't know, something about that in this viewing rubbed me the wrong way. Do you like this movie?
No, I hated this movie. I saw it once. It's one of the Kubrick movies I like the least.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. For that similar reasons?
I think I saw it at a wrong time in my life before I had a better, larger appreciation of film and film history, and it was just so in my face and violent that I just...
Don't get me wrong. I think it's possible that this is my least favorite as well.
Really?
I just don't... I mean, out of the major ones that, and I tend not to include anything before Dr. Strangelove in this thing, because I don't know why. It just seems like Kubrick was Kubrick once Strangelove happened, and then 2001. But I don't know. Barry Lyndon is probably down.
Yeah, I would say, even though I do like Barry Lyndon, I would say that it's below this. And I appreciate this movie a lot, and I found myself just absolutely just floored by the visuals in this.
Really a lot appreciate.
What?
It's from a movie.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's a hard watch. If you can't just get anybody to watch this movie.
Sure.
For sure. It's the content is. Now, I can't remember, the Anthony Burgess novel, which I have read, had an extra chapter in it that the movie didn't do. And I can't remember if it's Alex is redeemed at the end or Alex is not redeemed at the end. And I think Burgess was a little upset that chapter didn't get filmed for this movie. And I can't remember which one it is, but he had it a different way. And in the movie, it's sort of ambivalent. I mean, it's ambiguous, because he's, even though like at the end, he's doing all that cutesy shit. Like the nurse is like, here's the food. And he's like, opening his mouth and all that. He does have that like one final scene of, not that this is in itself a crime, but he's that naked lady riding him at the end. I can see what you're saying about the movie.
Yeah, it's. I think what I was saying when it was ham-handed It's because he literally experiences, the revenge for the things that he's done that we've seen him. He gets beaten up by his pals. He gets beaten up by the old man in the wheelchair and all that stuff. He goes back to the exact place that he perpetrated that crime. And it's like, I mean, pick a lane, whether you're going to redeem him, ultimately, like we're supposed to believe this, or, don't be so overt about it. But anyway.
It's William Hurt in Broadcast News says to Holly Hunter, I would really a lot appreciate it. She goes, really a lot appreciate it? He goes, you make me nervous.
You have another recommend?
I got another warn, baby.
All right.
Nice.
I'm flipping through the channels with the movie channels and the whatnot, and I see a movie called Bayou Caviar. And I'm like, I've never heard of that.
Oh, Jesus.
And I look at the info, and it says 2018. I'm like, oh, that's new. It stars Cuba Gooding Jr. and Famke Janssen.
Yeah.
And Richard Dreyfuss. And I'm like, well, I know those people. I'm going to watch this movie. Hard regret.
Really?
Well, it's like all the regret. It may or may not tell you something to know that this movie was written and directed by Cuba Gooding Jr.
Okay. All right.
Set in New Orleans. He's a retired boxer who's got a little bit of a retired boxer, like lazy eye and speech kind of impediment. He's got dreadlocks. He works as a bouncer, and then he trains other fighters at the gym, and he's just trying to reclaim his glory days. And then all of a sudden, he's talking to this girl who I don't know where she came from. And then they wake up in bed together. Movie will later tell you they didn't fuck, but it first suggests they fucked. Next thing you know, he's talking to her about Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton and sex tapes. Introducing her to Famke Janssen, who makes sex tapes. And this girl's like, well, maybe it worked for Kim Kardashian to get famous. Maybe I'll get famous with a sex tape. So Famke comes over, and she's setting up the camera in the closet and showing the girl where she's going to lie down. You can tell that Famke's character has a total crush on this girl and wants to lesbian her. And the girl her family's being harassed by a mean landlord who wants money. That guy works for Richard Dreyfuss, who's like some kind of Russian gangster. Like,
Does he have an accent?
I had to triple check that it was even Richard Dreyfuss. His voice sounds, and he's almost entirely shot from above, like in rooms with 18-foot ceilings. Almost every scene with, I don't know what's going on. Well, Cuba Gooding, it's its directorial debut. Anyway, the bombshell happens. Landlord comes over to insist the rent. Girl starts flirting with him. They have sex. It's filmed for a sex tape. Oh, no, they found out she's 16.
Oh.
Why would you write this fucking movie? Because from there, that's pretty much all it's about. She's 16. We just committed a crime. Says everyone. The landlord who fucked her, the lady who filmed her, and Cuba Gooding who's trying to get it to somebody else so he can get paid to pay a drug dealer? I don't know. It's so icky. It's so icky. And you know me. I like icky. But not this kind of icky.
Is this the girl that they're talking about in this you're talking about in this movie? Because I believe she's a part of the React series that the Fine Brothers or whatever did.
Really?
She was in the ones, so you had Kids React and then you had Teens React, and I think she was one of them that was in that. And now she's like become like had a higher profile because of it. But and
it's also that weird thing because they're like, somebody throws back in Cuba Gooding Jr.'s face like, well, we made a sex tape, but you fucked her, and he's like, no, I didn't. Then we get a flashback that shows them not fucking. This movie's weird, fucked up, grisly, and gross. Stay away.
Is that Ted Bundy movie?
Yeah. Weird, fucked up, grisly, and gross.
By the way, the Anthony Burgess novel had a chapter that did redeem Alex at the end. It was taken out of the U.S. versions of it, and then Kubrick, when he adapted it, just called it an extra chapter and decided that it wasn't for real. So he didn't film that part.
Interesting.
So the book ended with Alex being a bad guy.
Oh, okay.
And I guess, see, the movie doesn't really end with him. I mean, I guess you can glean into it that he's still got these urges and whatever by the end of it, but we don't know that for fact.
Doesn't he say at the end, like, I was cured or something like that?
Yeah. And something to that effect. But, anyway.
Gotcha. Have you seen I Think You Should Leave on Netflix?
No.
It's Tim Robinson. That's the full title, I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. It's a comedy series on Netflix, and it's one of those things that's like kind of mini episodes. It's like 16, 17 minutes and things like that.
Okay, so I've read about this and heard good things.
Yeah, I had too. So I was like, oh, yeah, I'm down with it. It's like very Mr. Show, like absurdist, that kind of thing. I've seen 3 episodes and I've laughed once.
Oh, no.
And the only reason was because it was Will Forte, who plays a great role in a very absurdist airplane bit, and I'm not going to ruin it for you. You should watch that episode just for that, but it's at the very end. I want to like these things, and I hate to say something's not funny because humor is so subjective, and obviously I think I'm on an island because I think most people really like this show. And I loved Mr. Show. I love stuff like that, but I can't get into this show. So that's a warn for me. I don't think it's worth wasting time on a show that's not very funny.
It looks like Sam Richardson from Veep is in this couple episodes.
Ooh, he's funny.
I love Sam Richardson.
Which one is he?
Sweet Candied Nuts.
That's Sam Richardson.
So yeah, I would not recommend this. Even though, check it out for yourself. It's very quick episodes and all that stuff. Maybe you'll laugh. I hope you do. I just was not a fan.
Yes. Well, I had not heard of it, and now I've heard of it.
There you go.
Do we have time for questions?
I think we do. You want to do a few questions?
Yeah. Sure.
Couple few? Something like that?
Yeah, sure.
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth. I am listening.
All right. This is a fun one because it really forced me to think back to the past. What was the first movie merchandise you ever bought for yourselves? This person's was a coffee mug with the Big Kahuna Burger logo from Pulp Fiction. That's a very cool item.
That is cool.
Back when I started at the Williamson Square 8 movie theater, I was enamored with posters. Obviously, I have a ton of them in the closet behind me. And I wanted to be able to get access to them, but I was 16 and underling, and everybody above me was always getting them, and so I didn't get a chance. I didn't crack at them until I started actually putting posters outside. Then I had the access.
Oh, yeah.
And then I started taking them all. But I mentioned in this episode, Last Action Hero was the first movie that played when I got hired. And Jurassic Park was 1 week into its run. And I wanted a Jurassic Park poster.
Yeah, man.
None were available at the time. So I went out to Suncoast Motion Picture Company
and
bought a Jurassic Park poster.
Nice.
It's not the same, though, as the stuff that you would get in movie theaters, because movie theaters have the double back, and that one has a white background. You can tell how, not authentic it is, but I still have it, and I'm able to put it in a poster case, so no one will be the wiser.
One of the most iconic posters, I think, of all time. Right?
Yeah,
what is the, like, if you think of a movie poster, what is the most iconic one that you think about?
The Exorcist.
Jaws.
The Exorcist, Jaws, Vertigo's got to be up there too.
Yep.
Did you see that photo that guy took underwater of a great white swimming up the way the poster for Jaws has it?
No.
It's fucking rad. I'm going to find it right now.
Oh, by the way, so I told you I've been watching Jaws. It's been running a lot lately. And there's been 2 songs stuck in my head for like the last week. One is the Old Town Road song I was telling you about, because that's very earwormy. And the other one is the Show Me the Way to Go Home.
Oh, yeah.
I'm tired, I don't want to go to bed.
Yep.
Whenever I land on it, I land on the Robert Shaw, the trio.
That scene, so good.
Photo on the left, poster on the right.
Holy fuck.
What?
Poster of Jaws on the right, recent photo on the left.
Oh.
That's a real photo?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
He caught a shark going up to the surface just like he does in
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Which is cool.
Merchandise.
So the first merchandise I ever owned was the Luke Skywalker white and brown Hoth outfit, Empire Strikes Back character.
Nice.
And his head came off because I was playing this game on the balcony where there was a little hole in the balcony, and he had to jump down to the next level. And when I got down there to continue the game, his head was gone.
Oh, no.
But my mom found it and glued it back on. The first merchandise I ever bought for myself isn't technically movie merchandise. It was the original Optimus Prime toy because I loved the Transformers cartoon growing up. Had a few Transformers I've been given as a gift. Saved up some garage sale money. Spent my own money on Optimus Prime. Original. About 6 years later, I'm a teenager. I decide I'm too cool for toys. We're having another garage sale. I sold my fucking Optimus Prime.
Oh, that's a really good. That was a fairly big one, too,
It was
right?
big. It had the whole trailer. It came out. It had like gun turrets.
Yeah,
it's
I had
also
that, too.
worth a shit ton of money now.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, shit,
And
I might still have
sold
mine.
it off for like $5.
You sold it for magic beans.
I did. I'm such like 15-year-old me is such a fucking idiot. But that Optimus Prime toy was rad.
Wow.
Now the Transformers they make today are cheap.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, there was more metal than plastic on most of those
Yeah,
toys,
totally.
and they were sturdy, and transforming them was actually a pleasure.
Yeah, it was actually fun to transform them.
Now it's like flip the legs down, two
Oh, my
steps,
God.
you're done.
No. At least the ones that we've gotten from my son have been ridiculously complicated.
Oh.
You could have a PhD from MIT and you would not be able to figure out how to get this thing back together because it's all in notches and it has to be sequential and it's got to be like 5 different things before you fold the knuckle over and fucking like get its little cock out or whatever.
It's cock.
It is.
It has
It's
a cock.
cock.
It's got a cock.
Well, in one of those Transformers movies, one of them pees.
Really?
Yeah, he.
Oh, in the newer one.
Yes.
Did you see the you probably didn't Robot Chicken where there was a Transformers episode in the Robot Chicken where like Optimus Prime at the end of like defeating whatever is going on has to go pee too many times and like they're like and there's a like it shows Optimus Prime in the middle of a sentence going to pee like 3 times and then then the next scene is him and the doctor's I didn't know going to the bathroom could be a bad thing and then and they're like yeah you have to check your prostate when you get to a certain age, Optimus Prime, and then like some robot appears in the front of the screen like so remember to check your asshole, kids.
Jesus Christ. Oh man. I answered this question wrong because I didn't think about the ones that I was buying for myself. So I was thinking about the first ones that I remember receiving. And the first ones that I remember receiving, you remember, so Ghostbusters comes out in 1984. And then there was a cartoon called Ghostbusters that came out that wasn't actually the Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah, then they had to come out with the real Ghostbusters.
The real Ghostbusters that came out afterwards. And I got little figurines for the real Ghostbusters.
Ooh.
And I had 3 of them. And I was like, well, where's Winston? No, I had Winston. It was Egon that I was missing. And it took me forever to find Egon. And we finally found Egon. I played with it for like 5 days, and then I was done. So that was in the mid-'80s. In the late 80s, Dick Tracy comes out, same year as Batman. And I had a bunch of Batman stuff. But I also had one of those things, the wristwatches, the talkie wristwatch from Dick Tracy that had like pre-programmed things like I'm on my way or something like that you could...
Madonna sucks at acting.
Yeah. Yes.
They also had... Burger King was doing some weird toy giveaway, like a promotion for Dick Tracy, too. So I had some, whatever their collectibles were, I had all of those, too.
Dick Tracy came out in 1990. It was the same year as 1989, though, so...
Hey-oh. He's making fun of you.
It was 90?
Yeah, it was 90. No, I was making fun of the years. They're the exact same year.
They are the exact
he's
same
making fun of the year. I was going to say, speaking of, what was your first toy?
Real Ghostbusters?
Real Ghostbusters. So I read this morning before I came down here, in addition to the, who's the kid that's going to make a new Ghostbusters movie with kids?
Jason Reitman.
Reitman. In addition to that, Dan Aykroyd has now completed a script of a prequel set in the 60s or 70s when all of the non-Ernie Hudson Ghostbusters are together as college geeks.
Okay.
Just think maybe we're... Like, how are we oversaturating Ghostbusters after that movie in 2016 came out? Like, how was our solution? Let's make 2.
Yeah, let's make more.
Yeah, the idea is to make more out of that experience.
God, that movie sucked. Do you want to do one more? Let's do one more. Come on.
I think we need one more.
Come on. All right. Can you think of any movies that actually work better at home watching them on TV instead of in the movie theater?
My answer, really almost anything small, intimate is going to be like that. So Glengarry Glen Ross, which is in itself sort of, it's a play and it's being filmed almost as such. I mean, it's very spare when it comes to its sets and everything. I don't know. I mean, I never saw Glengarry Glen Ross on a big screen, so I can't say, but I can't imagine the big screen enhancing it in any way because it's all the dialogue and there's not much like cinematography going on here. It's well shot for what it is.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that movie being just better on a big screen. How
does Ricky find Jonathan Pryce? He's in the restaurant. Does he overhear him saying that he's got money or something like that?
I don't know. I think that's sort of you're led to believe that he's overheard it. They don't say in the movie.
I got you. Okay.
He definitely knows that guy is a mark though, because he sits down next to, is it Alan Arkin? I can't remember.
Maybe so.
When they're at the Chinese place, and he says something when he starts doing that. You know, they say that you shouldn't drink alcohol on a day this hot, and he's obviously doing this sort of. It's I believe that's something that pickup artists do. By the way, they say something like to get people's attention, and then if they get somebody in a conversation, then they've won. And he's doing that, and he's sort of like motioning to. I guess it's Arkin or Lemon. I can't remember who it is. Get a load of this is you can see it in his face when he says that. But yeah, there's a lot of things I don't quite understand about who they're selling to and why in that movie, because it's interesting to me. The whole premise of Glengarry Glen Ross is that they want their salesmen to sell to these people that it's impossible to sell to.
They're bad leads. I never understood that either.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's because they know that they're bad and they want to have an excuse to fire them when they can't sell them. But like the whole thing blows up at the end you realize how evil this real estate company is when Lemon sells the shares to that one couple, and he's like, did you see how they were living? And he's like, how can you delude yourself? And it's like, why did you give him that lead?
Yeah.
It's the only reason is so that you'll can fire him, right?
I guess.
It's the only thing, but you're not making any money that way.
No, and then why bring Blake in the first place then to give them like the...
Let's send Glengarry Glen Ross. I never quite understood how he got James Link in this whole thing. Like, maybe he's talked to him before, or maybe he's heard it, and maybe he's a regular at that bar. But his technique for getting him interested in that whole thing, saying don't drink alcohol, he might know that guy's an alcoholic and that he's drinking all the time, and that sort of gets him into that conversation. He's like, oh, really? You hear him. That's when he's first like sort of interested, and then by the next time you see him, they're like,
they're at the table.
Together. Yeah.
I also I went with 12 Angry Men. I think it's funny we both picked movies that were based on plays because you're right. What will work as well at home is the smaller thing where you don't need cinematography. And what makes 12 Angry Men, any version of it, work is not the camera angles. It's the performances, and the tension is built through the acting. So I also wrote down Locke because I think there is some cinematic stuff in Locke, but I discovered it at home, and I was every bit as breathless at the end as I would have been if I'd seen it on a big screen.
I enjoyed City of Angels at home.
The Meg Ryan movie?
The Meg Ryan.
The Goo Goo Dolls movie?
The Goo Goo Dolls movie. I would not want to have seen that in the theater because I started crying at the end.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like ugly cry, snot running down the nose.
And I don't want the world to see me.
Oh my God! It did. That soundtrack actually had Alanis Morissette's "Uninvited."
Uninvited, yeah,
that was a really good song.
That song's awesome. What do you make of this Jagged Little Pill Broadway show?
I think it sounds awesome.
Okay.
It got really bad reviews.
Did it really? I haven't seen the reviews.
No. Somebody came out with an article in one of the major magazines about how Jagged Little Pill didn't hold up. The album didn't hold up anymore. And like really just kind of dismissively saying, well, I outgrew that. I used to be a fan of it, but I don't think it holds up. And then a few days later, the lead singer from Letters to Cleo wrote a very long and very intelligent defense of Jagged Little Pill and why it's objectively just one of like the masterworks of the 90s.
Well, and it was hugely important. Like, even if you can't look back at it now and consider it great, which I think it is, influential as all fuck.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The other thing that I was thinking about was the witch, the Vavitch, because I don't have a problem with hearing things, with kind of discerning vocals and stuff like that. I don't ever use captions because I think they're distracting, unless we're doing a Sins video. But the witch, man, you need it, especially with the dad with that voice.
Yeah, that guy's a great character actor, by the way. He's in a lot of stuff.
Is he really?
Yeah. He's just different. He's just different looking.
Yeah,
in everything that he's in.
But just the manner of speech in that, both the dialogue itself and the way that it's delivered, man, I need to like rewind and watch that and maybe even have subtitles on there.
Yeah.
I also wrote that the exact opposite would be Gravity. I have seen that on TV since I saw it in the theater, but there's nothing in this world that will make you experience what you experienced seeing Gravity for the first time in a theater with all of the sound, the surround sound,
Just
with
like-
all the debris field coming.
Just like
and
The
all that.
Water Boy.
Yeah, for sure. The Water Boy. Did you see it in IMAX, Gravity?
No, I really wish I did.
Yeah, I did. That was...
Those little whizzing particles that destroy everything, that debris, god damn, that debris is scarier than Freddy Krueger.
It is, and of course it's not possible to do what it did, but
Well, yes and
at
no.
least that's what Andy Weir says.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe not now. We're shooting so much bullshit up there.
Yeah, that's true.
Sooner or later, it's going to get crowded.
Yeah. Oh, you saw it in IMAX. God damn.
Yeah.
It came out on my birthday. Was it 2013? 2013.
This is good radio.
Yes, it is. It's 2013. Okay.
Oh, my God. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think I saw that movie twice. I saw it once in a regular theater, then I saw it I saw it in IMAX first, or I may have seen it in IMAX both times.
Oh, my God. It's so good.
Yeah, that's a great IMAX experience. And yes, it is. I mean, it's still a good movie, but it's not nearly the experience on the small screen.
Yeah.
That'll do it for this episode. Go to SinCast presented by Cinemasins on Facebook, SoundCloud. A couple of you came by looking for a Discord invite last time, so I'll invite you to Discord if you would like. Go to the Facebook, and you can just private message me or something, and I can give you a link to that. And you can go on there. There's still locked channels for patrons and for Patreon members and stuff like that. But you can still join in on quite a few channels on there.
Yeah, baby.
With some of the discussion. And I hope that more people start talking about stuff. And if you want to address me or anybody, Jeremy the narrator on there. You have Cinemasins Chris. I think of Cinemasins Barrett. Is on there. Jonathan is on there. Aaron is on there as Cinemasins. So
he is the Lord.
He is, yes.
Lord of the Discord. Lord of
but
Discord.
we also have Cinemasins Twitter, SoundCloud, a lot of places to come and talk about this very episode. But that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Scherer. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
I will have subtitles on a lot of times, and so that was the first time I actually saw what she was saying in Bad Guy when she was singing that one. I was like, oh, okay.
Well,
I see.
yeah, and those lyrics are suggestive. I mean, it's not really suggestive. It's outright like, I want to bone your dad.
Right. Yeah.
I want to bone you dead?
Bone your dad. Like steal
really?
your dad type, Mr. Steal Your Dad.
For some reason, I thought of Vincent D'Onofrio in Men in Black when you said that. When he thought it, you said dead. Where do you bury your dad? And now I'm like, now I can't unhear that as, where do you bury your dad?
You know, it's weird because I compared that Bad Guy video a lot to Fiona Apple's Criminal because that was also, she was, I think, underage at that, when that came out.
No, she was 18.
She was right at 18. But yeah, it's like very suggestive, and of course the video was super sexy and all that stuff.
Well, and she also was called a brilliant genius on her first. Oh.
And I believe she is. I believe she's on a different level musically, especially if you listen to that. I guess her most recent album that came out like 3 years ago.
How far out of my way do I got to go to find her music?
I mean,
because between you and me, I wouldn't have even known she put out any other albums.
Oh, really?
First one.
Oh, my God. The
last thing I
album...
remember was 8 years ago seeing a headline that she walked off stage one song into a concert and fainted. I haven't heard anything about music.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, she's amazing.
Thought she disappeared.
No, she's got this, she's almost turned full pop jazz. Like her instrumentation, she's always been a brilliant pianist. But like her instrumentation is just absolutely gorgeous. It's the idler wheel is something with the screw and whips and chords and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And typically Fiona Apple, garrulous title, but it's fucking awesome. In fact, I mean, Jesus, she hasn't had a bad album. She said the title was fantastic.
She's not getting radio airplay.
That's what I'm saying. Is you know that because you're just seeking her music out, and I was not, and thought she had fallen off the face of the earth. So her audience has got to be pretty small, right?
I don't know. I think she's got a lot of like loyalists from those days, and then that's kind of trickled down.
You think she could fill an arena with a concert?
No, I don't think so.
Like,
no, I mean, but there's so few acts that could.
Could she fill Municipal?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, give her that one.
If only for the 90s nostalgia crowd, right? Like, I would go to hear, like, stuff from the latest album and stuff like that, and from, like, Win the Pawn and all that shit. But people would be showing up just to hear Criminal and Shadowboxer and all that stuff. God damn, that was a great album. That title.
Yeah, that album was amazing.
Yeah. It is funny. Did you guys ever see that, the Billie Eilish and Rainn Wilson video that came out? Did you watch that? That was pretty fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it was.
Because she's like a huge, you know what I'm talking about?
No,
she's she's a huge Office fan.
Okay.
So Rainn Wilson came over to our house and like quizzed her about the show and like the minutia and stuff like that. And she did pretty well. But he kept calling her William Eyelash.
Is that why you wrote that on the script?
Oh, yeah, I did write it on the script. I meant to change that. I forgot that.
Yeah.
You think he's ever going to be able to carry a vehicle like the Rocker?
No, I don't think. I think his chances of carrying anything ended with The Office, probably. He's going to be a character actor, and that's fine.
He's good at it.
Yeah.
Ooh, his wife is Holiday Reinhorn.
I think that's the name of one of the My Little Pony characters.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Yep. I agree.
That's not far off. Holiday Reinhorn? Come on. That's a My Little Pony character.
Like a Reinhorn cowboy. It's because Mubi will put you through puberty.
There you go. New tagline established.
You've been waiting for it all this time? Try some Mubi. You will enter adulthood. Oh yeah.
And Mary is somewhere in every one of their names.
Oh yeah.
Even like John Wayne Mary.
John Wayne Mary.
I just remember Sandra Bullock and George of the Jungle.
Brendan Fraser.